My name's Guggen. I haven't applied yet, but I'm going to be applying at this end of this year. I'm currently working as a GCA, so I'm still working. So I just wanted to listen in and say congrats to everybody.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. I'm excited that we'll have people all range in the application process, and it kind of gets you excited probably for future and everything.
Yeah, I've been watching everyone get matched, and just it's exciting for them, and see what happens for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Where are you from?
I'm from California, so I'm on the west coast side, so it was 4 o'clock for me. So that's why I'm still working, but I work at UCSF.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Hi, I'll go. I'm not going to show a video right now because I'm technically working too. So
all good.
Busy, yeah, I'm just a future applicant here. Have a few friends who, did the application cycle this time around, and they most of them got in. So I'm just really happy for them, and I'm just here to learn more about, how counseling grad school is. Currently, I'm just working for a biotech company in the Bay Area. I'm trying to get
a lot of California.
Yeah, it's about to be 4 p.m. here.
Anyone else want to do an intro? We'll do intros of ourselves at 7. Not sure what to expect, how many people will be joining us. But if anyone else wants to chime in. I don't want to call you out, but Amin, I do see you're here.
I know. I was like,
I have to acknowledge.
Hi. Hey,
how are you?
Guys? Hello. Good. I was just looking, but now you called me out.
You kind of figured that I would, though, didn't you?
I knew. Yeah. Okay. So for the intro, I'm Amin. I'm currently in Boston. And are we doing where we matched?
Yeah, definitely. If you feel comfortable, you can share as much or as little as you want, guys.
Yeah. So I matched with MGH here in Boston.
Nice. Congrats. Staying in Boston.
Yeah, staying local.
I can go next. Hi, everyone. My name is Celine. Congrats to all of you. I matched in Sarah Lawrence this year.
Congrats.
Thank you. Anyone else from Sarah Lawrence here so far?
The 5 of us hosts are from Sarah Lawrence. We're graduating in 2 weeks now? I don't know. Time is a weird thing right now, but
congratulations.
Yeah. Exciting time.
That's awesome.
So where are you from?
I'm from Toronto.
Oh, Ontario. Miranda, I think you have to say something now. I mean,
you too?
I'm also from Toronto.
Sorry, who's speaking?
Miranda Di Biase.
Oh, okay. You're also from Toronto? Hi.
I'm up north from Toronto, so I live in the Vaughan area.
Okay, I'm actually from Oakville, not Toronto proper.
Oh,
so
okay.
I know where Vaughan is, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's exciting. I always get really excited when there's fellow Torontonians.
Are there many of us, or?
We have Canadians.
Yeah, Canadians. Cool.
Yeah.
We actually have a lot of Canadians. Only Ashlyn and I are American, and the rest of them are Canadian. So for people that are just joining us, we're going to do intros of the hosts here. If you've listened to the podcast, many of them were on the Match Day episode from a year ago when we were still first years, but we're graduating in a couple weeks now. But we're doing intros of people that are joining us, so feel free to jump in and introduce yourself. You can share your name, where you're from, status and application process if you want to share. If not, that's also okay.
Okay. My name is Talia. I'm from Calgary, Alberta in Canada. And I'm joining the Sarah Lawrence class for
congrats.
Hi, I'm Lila. I'm from Idaho originally, but I'm currently living in Michigan, and I am also joining the Sarah Lawrence class of 2022.
Nice. Sarah Lawrence is going to be representing tonight. I think we're going to be a majority here.
Probably.
Yes. Congratulations. Very exciting to be joining us. I mean, we won't physically be on campus next semester as we're graduating, but very excited to connect and everything.
And we might meet people when we come back if they have the graduation next year.
That is a good point, Ashlyn.
So we may see you.
Yeah. And we'll see all of you in the field in general, like NSGC and all that. It's if anyone hasn't been or has been, it's exciting to connect with a lot of people that you interact with on Twitter and Instagram now. There's a lot of joint counseling stuff. So yeah, we kind of are virtual, and then like one day a year where most of us are together. Anyone else want to chime in and introduce themselves? We're doing name, where you're from, and if you want to share your status in the application process. And just make sure you are unmuted so I can make sure we can hear you.
Okay. Hi, I'm Christina, or Chrissy, and I'm going to be a student at Sarah Lawrence, class of 2022.
Woo! So exciting, because now you guys are kind of meeting each other, Sarah Lawrence students. I'm just putting that together now.
Hi everyone, I'm Revati. I'm from India, and I'm also going to join Sarah Lawrence class.
Awesome. Were we talking on Instagram earlier?
Yes, I was.
Oh my God, isn't it really early there? I'm shocked that you're
Yeah, it's like 4:30 a.m. here.
Oh my goodness, you're like alive and awake. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I would not be.
I kept like 5 alarms.
Oh my God, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate that.
Yay.
My name is Taylor, and I will also be joining Sarah Lawrence class of 2022.
Awesome. Wow, really nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you too.
I feel like all the Sarah Lawrence people at the end should like stay on the call or something so you guys can
I know,
all talk.
so it's weird because my interview was virtual, so like I'm recognizing some of these faces because they were like part of my screen for a second. But like I've never actually met any of you guys in person, so
the virtual life continues.
Right.
Hi everyone, I'm Katie Parker, and I am joining the class of 2022 at Boise State.
Nice, we get a new program up in here. Anyone else from the non-Sarah Lawrence class that wants to chime in? I see a couple hand raises. Feel free to jump in.
I'm Hannah Walter, and I'm in the UAB class of 2022.
Very nice. We had someone on the show previously that went there.
Yeah, Katie. I've met her. She's awesome.
Oh, yeah, great.
My name's Kaylee Patton, and I'm going to be joining the class of 22 at MGH.
Awesome. So we have another MGH. I feel like I should have a poll or something, but I don't know if I'm coordinated enough to pull that off.
Hi everyone, I'm Tanvina Ria. I'm going to be joining UCLA. I'm from Indianapolis.
Awesome.
Hey, I'm Sammy. I'm also joining UCLA.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Brianna, and I'm going to be joining the Baylor class of 22.
Nice. Congrats.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to chime in? We're going to have us hosts introduce ourselves, but want to have time for you guys to also introduce yourselves.
Hey everyone, my name's Rashna. I'll be joining UC Irvine's class of 2022.
Hey Rashna.
Hey.
Hi everyone, I'm
Hi.
Caitlin.
Oh. Go ahead, you go.
Okay, I'm Caitlin. I'm joining the Sarah Lawrence class of 2022.
Congrats, Caitlin. Nice to see your face after so many emails.
I know. Thank you so much for all your help. I appreciate it. I'm excited to finally see you, even if it's virtually.
Yes, definitely.
I'm Sophia, and I'm also joining the Sarah Lawrence class of 2022.
Awesome. Welcome, Sophia.
I'm Rebecca. I'm joining the Kane class of 2022, so we'll be the first class of that program.
Wow, that's exciting.
Hi, I'm Emily. Oh,
sorry.
You can go. Okay, I'm Emily. I'm also joining the Sarah Lawrence class of 2022.
I feel like at this point we have like half of you on this call.
Yeah, I'm Natalie. I'm joining Sarah Lawrence class of 2022. Yay.
Awesome.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to meet all of you guys.
I'm Mackenzie, and I'm also joining Sarah Lawrence class of 2022.
I really should have kept track at this point with the tally. I don't know where we're at, but there's a lot of you.
My name's Alex. I'm joining the Indiana State class of 2022.
Awesome. Congrats.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Amy Alcacelin, and I'm joining the Columbia class of 2022.
Very close to Sarah Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ashanti, and I'm joining the KGI class of 2022.
Woo! I don't know if you talked to Brenna, but she's a good person to talk to. That's was on the show before. She's awesome. Anyone else before we do host intros?
Sure.
I'm going to Sarah Lawrence too.
My name's Laura.
Hi, Laura.
Hi. Yeah, I'm going to Sarah Lawrence as well.
Awesome. Welcome to the SLC family.
My name's Caroline, and I'm joining Sarah Lawrence for next year.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Tari. I'm also joining the Sarah Lawrence family as well.
It really is a family. Most of us live together.
Hi, everyone. If you can hear me, my name is Mariah. I'm joining the Cincinnati class of 2022.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and I'll be joining the University of Arizona class of 2022.
All right. Well, I see it is 7:07, so I'm going to start our host intros. So I'm just going to intro the people. We are all from the Sarah Lawrence program, graduating in a couple weeks. We're just going to share a little bit about ourselves. That way, if you have questions for us, maybe you know us a little bit better from that. For those that don't know, I'm Kira Dineen. I am from Connecticut, and obviously I am in the Sarah Lawrence class, and I am going into prenatal genetic counseling, working in private practice, and very excited to have you all here. This is a really big turnout, so I'm really excited to be connecting with you guys, and congrats officially on match day for those that matched. For those that didn't, many of us had to apply multiple times, and some of the best people I think in our class had to apply multiple times, so kind of just wanted to mention that at some point. And for people that are planning on applying in the future, hopefully you can kind of gain a little bit of insight and get the excitement from today. I guess I should say who's next. Does anyone want to go next in our host group? Or am I just picking on one of you? Ashlyn's smiling. Ashlyn, why don't you start out?
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Ashlyn Enokian. I just want to say congratulations to all of you. We're so excited to talk with you today. I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan, but obviously I went to Sarah Lawrence with everyone on this panel, and I will be doing the same thing as Kira. I'll be working in prenatal private practice in like high-risk maternal fetal medicine in Nevada.
Oh, I should have said that. I'm going to be working in Connecticut, but it's like New York, Connecticut line. So not the same private practice, but yeah.
I can only wish.
that would be very helpful. Karl, you want to go next?
Hello, everyone. My name is Karl Krahn. I am from Vancouver, BC, where I am now because of the pandemic. I did my undergrad degree in biology at the University of Fraser Valley, and my favorite specialty is cardiogenetics. I have not secured a job yet, but still looking for one, so I'm just working construction right now to pay some bills, so that's fun.
Awesome. Yeah, Karl got to do a rotation in cardiac, which I wonder, we'll probably talk about at some point, I'm guessing, because that's very cool. All right, who's next? Maria, you want to go?
Sure. Might as well go BC people 2 in a row. I'm Maria Van Noordenne. I'm from British Columbia as well, and I'm stuck still in New York, but that's fine. I don't know what else I'm supposed to say other than I'm interested in prenatal genetic counseling, and that seems to be the trend as well.
Yes, that makes 3 of us on this call. And Miranda. Would you like to share, Miranda?
Hi guys, my name's Miranda. I'm from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I did my undergrad at York University, and I'm currently going to be practicing pediatric genetic counseling in the Bronx in New York after graduation.
Awesome. And so that's a little bit about us. As I said, we're all in the class of 2020 at Sarah Lawrence. So we kind of have similar experiences, but some things a bit different with rotations and whatnot. Since there's so many people on the call, I was thinking, which you can give me feedback, of using the chat feature here and throwing your questions. Oh, I see it's already going here. Throwing your questions in there, and then I can kind of read through them. And when I read a question, I can say your name. I don't know. I guess it's not going to give me full names. In case you wanted to elaborate, anything like that, chime in. And then we'll answer your questions that way. I'll start out with a question from Instagram while we get organized in this chat. The first question we had was, I've been out of school 2 years. Any tips for prepping to hit the ground running in August? I'm also realizing that I can't see all the hosts at once, so this is an interesting adventure here. Miranda, do you want to take this one of having, I mean, most of us had a bit of a gap between school, like undergrad and grad, but maybe you could start us off.
Sure. So after I graduated from York University, I took 2 years off. I found out about genetic counseling right at the end of kind of like my undergrad experience. So then I took kind of 2 years to do some extra courses. And then I did some volunteering and got some experience with genetic counseling. So during those 2 years, it's not like I was kind of like sitting around. I was still like working hard and like volunteering and all of that stuff. So I still was on that momentum of like working toward getting into grad school. So I didn't find it a problem to get kind of jump back into the swing of things. Of course, it was like weird, like studying again and like, okay, this is how to study for an exam and get back into that. But I was really lucky, and my peers are like really amazing people. So you guys are going to have a really great time, and you're going to make really great friends that are going to kind of push you and motivate you.
Definitely. Yeah. I took some classes during my gap year as well, just to kind of keep up with things. Plus I had to do biochem, so I had to fit that in there somewhere. But I don't know who had said it. Somewhere I heard of someone that had a bunch of years off between school, and they had taken some kind of medical terminology course over the summer just to kind of get back into the school mode before being thrown into full grad school. So kind of having a more transition on that end. And right now I feel like there's so many sales of like online courses. So that might be something to take advantage of. I am scanning the chat here. The first is, how do you afford life on a grad school budget? Karl, I kind of want to pitch this one to you, because in the match day episode, you talked about a couple tips to manage money, and not just, you know, education wise, but also just like living in the city, which you've been doing since the start of the program.
Yeah, I think definitely developing a budget is the most essential thing to do as a grad student. Unfortunately, you will probably end up with some debt at the end of this, but that's okay. You're investing in yourself, and I think it's a good, wise, solid investment going forward. But I think just knowing where your money goes every day is kind of essential to be able to plan and prepare for what you need. And it's very different if you're an American going to school and working in the States, because you can work anywhere. But as Canadian, like myself and some of my peers here, we had to work on campus, which we all did actually. We all made some money, so that was super helpful. But those require certain visa talks with the people on your campus. So those things it's all possible, but it's just a more limited focus of what jobs you could have. Anything else to contribute, Miranda or Maria, about working as Canadians in America? I guess not. But yeah, the working on campus is a great thing, and it helps. It helps. Just, you have to prioritize your time, but it's very doable. And I think most people had some sort of side jobs during their time, which just helps with spending money.
Yeah, I think that's a good point that a lot of people worked well in the program. I'd say that most of us, so our class is 30 people. We're one of the largest classes. The classes under us are a little bit less so, but most of us had jobs in some capacity of either working a couple hours a week to a lot of hours a week. So that's definitely something that can be done. I'm going to kind of go in order of these questions here. The next question is from Samantha. What would be helpful to review, study over the summer before starting a program? Of course, we don't have to, but what might help and give you a head start? I'll kind of start answering this, but my host can jump in after me. I think it's helpful to kind of, if you did take some kind of genetics course, to just like review those concepts. But in general, things that kind of occur to me off the top of my head is like, maybe look at what are some hereditary cancer syndromes to be aware of, and looking at like how to take a pedigree and more of the basic skills just to almost brush up on, and not really so that you're ready to be quizzed once you get onto campus, but it may help kind of with the confidence booster, because oftentimes starting a program, it's, you know, you feel a little daunting, like, okay, I got myself into this program and it was really hard to do so. But starting a program can be a little overwhelming. So going over stuff like that, I think, can be helpful. And sometimes, like I was talking about before, of taking like a class could be a way to do that, or just kind of going through old notes. There's a lot of genetic counseling blogs to read through and see kind of what topics they talk about, and then just like Google those topics. There's a lot of news stories. I go on Genome Web a lot and just see what is in the news in genetics. And when I don't understand some of the headlines, which is often, then I'll kind of look up what does that mean. So I think just kind of looking at exposing yourself to more, I think, is a good kind of way to start that. Anyone else want to chime in on that one?
I'll bounce off of that. I also would like to say, to take a little bit of pressure off of yourself. You got matched to a program for a reason, and you're going to meet all of your classmates, and you're going to be super excited, and all the adrenaline is going to push you into the semester. It is so surprising how smooth that transition is. Yes, imposter syndrome is real. Yes, there's going to be challenges, but also like take a little bit of that pressure off, that you got in for a reason. They saw something in you, believe in yourself, and, you know, just get yourself excited about the program. I just listened to podcasts. I probably am not the prime example. I didn't do any courses. I didn't do anything. I kind of took some time to relax. And then like the month before class started, I listened to a bunch of podcasts and got myself excited about genetics, and kind of, you know, like Kira was saying, I would see news articles and be like, oh, I don't really know about this, and kind of go down my own path. So that was my way of doing it. And I think everyone kind of did their own way, but it's exciting, and enjoy like the beginning of it.
Yeah, I think it's good to just kind of take it in and, like Maria said, relax a little bit, because it is going to be busy and it's going to be a lot. So I think taking that time can be good, which we're all kind of at a different situation now. A lot of us are self-isolating and quarantined. So I think some of us are already starting to do that, and it's kind of a forced break in a way. Maria, I'm going to continue on this. To Canadian students, how was it to transition to living and going to school in the US? Maria, you want to start, and then my other Canadians can join in?
Sure. I think that being Canadian, the idea of going to the States and that transition is scarier than it really is in reality. I think just take a deep breath and realize that you're just moving to a different city, and just leave it at that. I think that there is some logistical changes, your visa, you know, different currency, little things that you need to transition to. But in general, I found the transition a lot more smooth than I thought that it would be. And again, the excitement of starting this program kind of just like puts that at ease. And I can speak for Sarah Lawrence. They do an amazing job of getting you in touch with, well, the international coordinator gets in touch with you. She's a wonderful lady. I love her. And she kind of just was like, these are the logistic things. And then you do those logistic things. And it was pretty smooth, at least from my perspective. I'm sure Karl and Miranda can say more to that.
I have nothing to add. That's exactly, I would agree with that, Maria. But feel free to message us if you have like specific questions that come up, because it's kind of hard to, you know, answer every possible part of it. But it's smoother than you think, and it's just getting ready for a move. It just might be across the border, but it's all good.
Yeah, I agree with both Karl and Maria. I think, I don't know when the Sarah Lawrence like Facebook group is going to be created or if that's already done, but that's a great way for you to like meet as well all your other fellow classmates and kind of start talking to people if you want to room together, if you want to find a place. I was lucky enough, I roomed with Kira my first year. And so I really lucked out because she did a lot of the legwork.
Yeah, basically Canadians find an American to roommate with because that makes life so much easier, I think.
I have to agree, yeah. It helped a lot. But yeah, I was really nervous. I think getting into this grad program was me leaving my parents' house for the first time. So it was a big step for me and it went really smooth. And so yeah, I think you guys will be fine. But just like Karl said, if you have any questions, you can always message us.
The next question kind of leads into that. And if you do have specific questions you don't want to ask here or we don't get to them, you can email into the show. And then if there's a certain person you want to answer your question, you can say that too. And I can forward it on appropriately. The email is info@dnapodcast.com. So you can email them in there in case we don't get to them or it's more of a private question. The next question, if I've gotten private messages on this chat, I'm not going to say who the name is because maybe you did that on purpose. So the next question, how should I find a place to live? So this kind of goes into what we were saying and when. Also, this may be a question you can't answer, but with the extreme situation in New York, do you think classes will be in person in the fall? I can kind of start out. So when Miranda and I decided to be roommates, we're like, okay, now we have to find a place to live. And when, for us, it worked out to start a lease. Was it August 1st, Miranda? Yeah, okay, you're muted, but I can read your lips. Yeah, so we started at August 1st because classes started like the last week of August. So that gave us time to move in, kind of get settled before we jumped into orientation and then classes the next week. So I think that worked out really well for us. At first, I wanted to move in like a day before, and retrospectively, I don't know why I was thinking that. That would have been insane. So I think that worked out really well for us to have a little bit of time and time to get to kind of know if you're living with someone in the program, which I personally recommend from my experiences living with many people on this call. It's great to be able to connect and have the relationship going into class if you are moving for school. I don't know if anyone else wants to piggyback off that.
Yeah, I can jump in. So when I was looking for housing, I think like the most important things you can think about are your budget and your location. It makes a really big difference in a place like New York. There are schools in Bronxville versus living in New York City. So I can't speak for every school, but it really depends on the location and also considering how many roommates do you want. I think that is a really important part of selecting how many people, like, do I study well in groups? How many people can I, realistically live with? Like, what is best for my budget? I think those are good things to think about. And the easiest thing that I did, and the thing that I'm like happy about retrospectively, is that I reached out to a lot of the first and second years who were already in my program. I think anyone from any program, just reach out to the people above you. They're so excited to meet you and they all want to help. And they can give you the do's and don'ts of where to live, where not to live, what's a reasonable price for your area, what is accessible by car, what isn't. So they are honestly, the people who live the experience are the people you should be talking to. So if anyone, if you ever need anything with Sarah Lawrence, like I lived in Yonkers my first year, which is right next to the school, like many of us did. And then the second year, Kira and I lived in the city. So it kind of gives you the perspective of both.
Yeah, I think that was like such a curated answer. Sometimes I'm talking, I'm like rambling. I'm like, wow, you said that really nicely, guys. Yeah, I think to answer the second part of your question, do you think classes will be in person in the fall? I mean, I probably have just as much information as you do, but that's kind of up in the air. But I can say from our experience right now, we're doing classes just like this on Zoom. We're actually using the Sarah Lawrence account so that we can accommodate all of you here. So that's how we've been doing classes, and rotation has been affected. Most of us are not rotating right now of doing our last rotations. We at Sarah Lawrence have for a rotation every quarter. of the academic year. So that has been effective. People that have telehealth rotations, they're often able to still do it. But our program leadership and what I've seen from other programs are working really hard to adapt things to be online. And I'm surprised how well it's worked so far, honestly. And a lot of people learning. NSGC recently hosted a webinar teaching people how to do remote supervision and giving tips on that. So that probably will also be changing, especially for the summer for people that are first year students turning into second year students. But yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. Okay, we answered that next question. Here's another question. Did you experience imposter syndrome at all? Yes. I'm still waiting for the oops, you're actually not accepted email. I felt like that. I don't know if any of my co-hosts did. But yeah, kind of that feeling of, wow, I'm in, but am I actually in? Yes, if you got the email, you're actually in, you know. But I think all of us at some point experience imposter syndrome. I think for me, I'll open up, I guess, and say like was supposed to have another prenatal rotation this fall and I'm going into prenatal. I was really counting on that to solidify a lot of things to learn for my job, and I'm not getting that. So I feel a little bit right now, to be honest, but I think it's something you work through and you look to your like coworkers and peers and supervisors to like help you through what you don't feel confident on. It's kind of a more general question, so any of our hosts can jump in here.
I'll jump in. I'm very passionate about imposter syndrome.
You mentioned it. I was like, Maria should jump in here.
That's perfect. I think imposter syndrome is very, very real, and whether someone admits it or not, everybody feels it. It's kind of what happens when you get into grad school, especially in genetic counseling, because you see your competition and you eye yourself up to your competition because you're competing against them, and then they become your classmates, and then you question yourself. It's a reality. And just know that everyone else is feeling that. And all you got to do is just enjoy the program, trust yourself. Again, you got in for a reason. And for those of you who didn't get in, I didn't get in on my first time. And that doesn't say that you won't be an amazing genetic counselor. It is a long process and it's a challenging process. And as Kira said, even when you're graduating, you feel imposter syndrome. You're always going to feel this way. I think it may be a genetic counseling trait as well. So see it as kind of a positive thing.
Well said, Maria. Yeah, and the next question goes right into that. Does imposter syndrome ever go away? And you kind of answered that. Ebbs and flows. Some days you're like, I'm the best genetic counselor ever. This is what I was born to do. And some days you're like, why am I in this field? Can I even do this? And you kind of just go back and forth and keep getting better, I guess. Next question is also about living. If you live in New York City, which all of us do right now, or have an apartment there, what's the best way to get to Sarah Lawrence campus? There is no good way. I don't know if, Ashlyn, you're laughing. You want to jump in here?
No, it's funny what you said because it's true. Because I think that you and I were like, how many ways can we get to school and which is the best? And the best doesn't always mean the fastest or cheapest. I'm like, where can we get Dunkin' Donuts and then go to school? So that's the best route for us.
Honestly, Dunkin' Donuts being the first stop. Yes.
Yeah. So it really depends on where you are. But for the people who are matched with Sarah Lawrence and who want to live in the city, I would recommend trying to live by some kind of, the subway. What's it called here?
Like ABCD? ABCD. Or
what's it called?
What's the one that goes to Woodlawn? I've not been in the city in 6 weeks. 4.
Oh, 4.
Oh, well,
I take the 2.
Yeah, so Maria lives on like
New York.
The other side from us. I don't want to give away exactly where we live. That feels a little weird. But yeah, so Ashlyn, Karl, and I are actually in a carpool, but we go downtown to go then back up to Sarah Lawrence. So that's probably also not the most direct way, but yeah, taking a train to Woodlawn and then Ubering from there has been kind of our catch-all, which can get expensive, so make friends.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, I'm not going to say people's names. I'm realizing people are like, don't do that. So I think I only said that to one. So I'm learning as we go here. Should first year students go to NSGC? I don't know. Carl's making an inquisitive face. Do you want to jump in?
Sure. If you have the financial means to go at NSGC, by all means, that would be great. But at least in our program, Sarah Lawrence, they have some funding for you to go in your second year. And I feel like that second year experience is it's, I don't know, all you need. It's not really a good term, but it was a very exciting thing to look forward to, knowing that was in our second year. We're all going to go as a class. There's some job postings then. It's not a time where you have to find a job, by no means. But it's just more, you kind of feel I feel like I had more of my footing in the field of genetic counseling in my second year. Then I was ready to experience a conference, learn what I could, just have a fun time. It's a unique time. And I think you only need to go in your second year, but that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I was supposed to go first year, and then we ended up having an exam that week or something with embryology, which is a harder course at Sarah Lawrence. And so I didn't end up going, but it would have been a good experience, but I don't think it was a make it or break it. I think going second year, you already know a good amount so that you're really like adding on to what you're doing in class. And it was really fun to go as a full class. So if you're deciding between the years, most programs go as a class in your second year. And that was an exciting thing. And then you're deciding who's staying in hotels together. And just, it's a very like group and figuring out planes. And our class ended up doing like, either on plane A or B and kind of figuring that out as a group. So I think that was kind of also easier. I think it would have been really hard for me to go first year by myself. So our next question is, what is the process of taking out federal loans after you file FAFSA? What do you do to get the loan? Did you take out any other loans? So basically just how loans work. I don't know if any of our people on the panel want to talk about that process. I know it's going to differ between American and Canadian. A little bit. I know I personally didn't take out loans, so I can speak to like what I've heard other people say. From my understanding, the school basically gets the money and then they give you a refund for whatever's extra. That, say your tuition is $25,000, and this is completely random numbers, I'm not good at math. Say it's $25,000 and your loan was for $30,000, the school would send you like a check for like $5,000 because that was your excess, so that you can use that for housing, books, gas, food, whatever you need in life. So that's my understanding how it works for American. I know for Canadian that can be much harder because you guys have you guys can also jump in here if you want to. I don't want to put anyone on the spot for this one because it's like money. But in America, it's easier to get a bigger loan because it's understandable that schools are much more expensive than in Canada. So getting a loan in Canada, I'm understanding, is more difficult because of tuition just being lower. So they're not looking to give out really big loans.
I could say some more about that because
okay, cool.
Kira,
yeah, just correct me on like all that stuff. I didn't want to call out someone on money. I was like, that feels weird.
So being from Canada, I applied. So this would only be, I think, applicable to people from Ontario. I applied for OSAP, which is a government. I got a government loan from that, and then I also went to my bank and I got a loan from them as well. I ran into trouble with the bank because they never heard of genetic counseling. So because of that, they didn't want to give me a large loan. So I had trouble with that. But I got a loan from the bank, loan from OSAP, and then my parents helped me out a bit with tuition. So 3 different financial avenues helped me get here.
Yes, you have a lot of experience with like, okay, how am I doing this one and that one? And definitely going to change depending on the person for sure and like their situation. I'm going to skip over questions that are, if we've already kind of talked about it. This one's a little bit different. So not transitioning to America from Canada. We have a lot of Canadians, exciting, but wanting to work in Canada after school. Karl, do you want to talk about this one? Or Maria? I think either of you. Miranda's working in America, so that's probably a little less helpful. Love you, Miranda.
Yeah, I can speak on that briefly. There's definitely a larger job market in the US, so it is beneficial to find work in the US, and there are visas to help you, especially as Canadian working there, that because of the North American Free Trade Agreement, there's certain TN1 visas that can be useful. Going that way, but then coming back in, to Canada. It's a smaller job market, but if you can find connections and there are openings, it's not to say that there's never people hiring, there's just less people hiring, but it's very plausible. I'm still looking myself for work in Canada. Maria, do you have anything else to jump off there?
I think you kind of hit all of it. Another thing to do is your summer rotation. I can't speak for other programs, but so for instance, I did my summer rotation in Canada, and I happened to do it in a place that I wasn't looking for jobs, but I could see how if you did your summer rotation in a place that, you would potentially want to end up, that would be a good in to make connections. But also, if you want to go back to Canada, start making those connections right away when you start the program.
Yes, good comments there. The next one, can you comment on the experience for a married person? How can they stay connected when they are in such a different life stage? Karl, did you want to talk about this? I know you talked a little bit on the show about this.
Yeah, for sure. I am married, so I can answer.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is time management. I know everyone, married status or not, time management is huge. And just finding ways to make sure that you have the time to spend with your significant other in whatever relationship you have. I also found that, setting aside a Saturday or a Sunday, like consistently being like, this is our date day, because you probably are moving to a new city. So maybe exploring, I'm speaking of New York, there's a million things to explore. So just finding and blocking, scheduling times where you're both available. You both can just spend time together. They don't have to be expensive, because again, you're in grad school, they don't have to be expensive dates, but just exploring new cities, new regions. I think that was the biggest thing that helped my partner and I. Yeah.
And also being friends with other people in your program. I think that's been, I don't know if that's going to be everyone's situation, but for those that are married in our program, good amount of them, we know their spouses, and we've become friends. And I'd say our class is very close. So we host a lot of parties, Halloween parties, holiday parties, all kinds of stuff. So just connecting on that front, I think has been a fun experience, at least for me. I love Chelsea. Our next question, how long is a typical day of class? Do you start early in the morning? Ash, you want to start this one?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about this, but only in terms of Sarah Lawrence.
That's our constant caveat here.
Yeah, I feel bad, but you'll be getting schedules, and you can talk to your second years if you're in other programs too. For us, so Sarah Lawrence, at least when we were first years, and this year, our first year, we did 3 days of school, 1 day rotation. Also, anyone correct me if I'm wrong. And then this year we've done 2 days rotation, typically, or sometimes 3, and then 2 days in school. So these are very, very long days, at least for Sarah Lawrence. Just because of everyone's schedules. We have a lot of people teaching who are also practicing genetic counselors. So we're working around work schedules and like academic schedules. So typically, this semester, when we were there in person, it was a little crazy. We'd be in school on Mondays, like 9:30 to 7:30, which those can be long days if you live in the city, because that's at least it was about 45 minutes commute when we would go back, but Fridays were much shorter. So that's totally dependent on your program. I can say that they have to kind of load the classes in some ways, because of rotation schedules, because you have to have, a certain amount of hours and cases in clinic. But I also know that there are programs who don't even start rotations, the first semester. Like all the schedules are completely different. But yeah, I would talk to the people above you about that in your classes and kind of get a feel for it so you can prepare yourself, because it's so important to take care of yourself and your physical and mental health, trying to fit in the gym, bringing enough meals, because we used to eat 3 meals a day at Sarah Lawrence. So, just kind of taking those things into consideration.
Very well said. Our next question, I'm going to apply this upcoming cycle. Since a lot of you guys, hosts and matchees, are from Sarah Lawrence, what made you pick this program? What will you miss from this program? Yeah, that's kind of sad right now. We had kind of an emotional class today, to be honest, because it was with our program director, which we don't have a class with her one-on-one. So kind of hits home. I can start. I don't know if we all want to answer this or whatever. Sarah Lawrence since high school I wanted to go to, so I'm kind of a weird one, I think, when it comes to that. I liked that it was the first program ever in invented genetic counseling. I think that's a really cool history of the field and just how many alumni come from the program. There's 5,000 genetic counselors in Canada, the US, and 1,000 of them are graduated from Sarah Lawrence. So a fifth of genetic counselors came from Sarah Lawrence. So I was like, well, that's a lot of people to connect with and start conversations that way. I'm from Connecticut, so it was also the closest program to where I'm from. And I liked that it was close to the city, but not in the city, which jokes on me because then I ended up living in the city second year. But yeah, so I think it was just kind of a good match for me. And I didn't want to take classes with med students. To me, that felt very overwhelming. And I hated taking classes, to be honest, with pre-med students because I was never in the top part of the class. And that was frustrating for me. And clinical rotations, you rotate all over the place. Some programs you only rotate through their medical system. So you really get to know that medical system. I preferred to kind of learn a lot of different medical systems because I didn't know where I was going to end up. But so many programs ranking was a very tough decision. But yeah, what am I going to miss? My classmates. That's an easy answer. Love you guys. Does anyone else want to chime in on that one? You're all just smiling. That works.
You nailed it. You did so well.
Okay.
Yeah. And
I feel like I talked a lot there, but
already it's sad.
Yeah, it is sad.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. When I was applying, it was so much about the huge alumni network. And because I kind of known almost all the genetic counselors in Michigan when I was doing GCA positions, but I was I want to be able to connect with anyone in any part of the world. And the cool thing is that we have, alum who have established genetic counseling programs all over the world, in other countries. And that's super exciting. I can't say enough about the large class size. I think that's something that kind of just pulled me through class. And it's a tough program, but it's nice to have, your classmates with you. You have different kinds of groups of people. Some people are your going out friends. Some people are your venting friends. Some people are your study buddies. So I thought, that's one of the best aspects of it.
I think also for me, before getting into grad school, I worked at a hospital in Toronto where almost all of the genetic counselors were from Sarah Lawrence. So for me, it kind of, they told me their kind of stories of Sarah Lawrence, and it made me realize that if I wanted to come back to Toronto, they went to Sarah Lawrence and they're doing great in their careers. So that was one thing. And then also, I just really wanted to live in New York. So.
I'll jump to the next question. I meant to say this at the beginning of our chat here. I am planning on putting this on YouTube. Whether I accomplish that or not, we'll see. But that is the plan, so that if you do have to leave, all good. And if there's something that you want to make sure you ask, definitely just email in info@dnapodcast.com and we can get back to you in that way. Next question, how early are rotations in the program? Is this mostly shadowing, learning to take pedigrees? When do you start to contribute? I will speak about University of Pittsburgh because that's a different program. I don't know if anyone said they're from that program, but to gear away from Sarah Lawrence for a minute, for them, I found them to be different. They do rotations in their second year. So in their first year, they don't have rotations, which I think is interesting. Most programs, though, I think start November to January of your first year. And then that's also kind of like for us observing at first. And then if you feel comfortable and kind of sometimes supervisors will have you explain one concept. Oh, can you explain autosomal recessive? And you just do a little part and kind of you build your way up to a full session. But we also learned a lot in our class fundamentals. I don't know if anyone wants to talk about fundamentals and just getting exposed to some of these concepts and practicing.
Sure, I guess I'll go. So fundamentals was our class that it started, I guess, like the first week of school. And what it did is throughout the whole year, it kind of broke down what a session is. And then we would take each section and we would practice it. We would discuss as a class, and then we would practice in groups. So we would pretend to be the patient and be the counselor, and we kind of switch back and forth. So that was a really nice way to kind of slowly get us in rather than jumping into a real life session. So it was a nice pair. We started off kind of getting to know things on the concept level and practice with our classmates, and then our shadowing started, and then we slowly kind of started to introduce doing things ourselves. So it's just a really nice transition. So it's not just one day you're just going to have to do a session. It's a really nice gradual transition.
Yeah, definitely. Our next question, we talked about a little bit, but for international students, I'm trying to scan this so I don't read the whole thing. Will the school help me out with housing and finding part-time jobs? And do we actually get time to do part-time jobs? We talked about in our program and most programs, you do have time to have a part-time job. Not necessarily easy, but definitely can be done. Most of us on the panel work outside of class. Do one of my Canadians want to talk about like how it worked getting a job through Sarah Lawrence?
Yeah. Jobs, there are some job boards that they have posted that are specifically meant for on-campus jobs. So you have that kind of graduate list and undergraduate list of jobs that you can scan and apply to, and they're receptive to international students because you'll have the proper paperwork to work for them. So it's very plausible. I think everyone who wanted an on-campus job was able to get one. Your hours, you might not have the exact hours you want, if you want more, if you want less, but for the most part, they're flexible and there's many to choose from. And the other part, housing. Like we had said previously, it's just best to coordinate with either a previous year student or someone who's maybe knows the area a little more as an international student, because it is a little tricky maybe not seeing an apartment before you move there. My wife and I, we showed up about a day before classes started, and it was a whole whirlwind, and I don't recommend it for anyone, but we did it. It's possible. So if you can utilize someone who's on the ground or a former student, I just highly encourage that.
Yeah, definitely. I want to go back in the chat a little bit. One of the Lauras here said that they can explain FAFSA student loans if there's time at the end. We do have a couple more questions, but Laura, if you wanted to jump in and talk about that, because to clarify, like the points that I kind of maybe messed up on a little bit.
Yes, so the FAFSA is kind of different for undergrad versus grad. So first off, very important thing is that if you are under the age of 25 and not married, then you are considered a dependent. So you'll have to file using your parents' income tax information. If you're over 25, then you can use your own, and sometimes that can be better or worse. Now, if you've done FAFSA before, you may know that there's subsidized and unsubsidized loans. And that means a subsidized loan is while you are in school, they are going to pay the interest that's accruing while you're in class. For unsubsidized loans, that means that from the second that you start taking classes, interest will be accruing. So on graduation day, you'll owe the amount of the loan plus the interest. Now, there's a couple of different types of loans. Most of the financially, like for people who need financial aid, there's not really much federal help for that. Usually you'll still want to fill out the FAFSA because many schools offer different types of financial aid. So they may give you like a scholarship or something. And it may be helpful for scholarships. Now for, you still need to fill out the FAFSA if you want to get any type of federal loan that's not need-based. So there's direct unsubsidized loans, and then there's also direct plus loans. And those vary depending on like the interest rates, they vary on how much you're limited to take out, just a whole bunch of different things. So I recommend that everyone fill out the FAFSA, and I say this as like a former admission counselor. Everyone fill it out. I would do it as soon as your taxes are filed. So like January, February, there are deadlines for those forms, but they vary state to state. So you'll need to check into that. Just go ahead and do it. If you don't end up needing it, it's not a big deal. But it's really simple if you've already filed your taxes because it kind of like auto inputs your stuff for you. So it can be very simple. And then, you know, as you're going through the process, figure out what your budget's like, what you're going to need, what's realistic to take out and what's not. If you want to go the federal route, that's one thing, but then there's also private loans. So almost any major bank in America provides private student loans. And you'll want to check on the interest rate of those because they will vary greatly. And depending on your credit too, and a cosigner. So you really don't want to take out a loan that's anything more than 7 or 8%. That's like kind of a lot. You want to shoot closer to the 5% range. And if you can do it without taking out any loans, do that. That is the most financially educated decision to make. But definitely, if you don't know what you're doing, seek your financial aid counselors at your schools that you're applying to. Reach out to them ahead of time, even if you don't know you're going to get in yet. Figure out what all they offer. They're usually really, really great about directing you towards scholarships. So like while you're waiting to hear where you got in, you can apply to all these other scholarships that are offered by, you know, independent companies and organizations. So yeah, hope that helped.
Yes, so much. Thank you. That is a much better explanation than I'm ever going to give. And Laura was an admissions counselor, so she knows so much about this stuff. And also wanted to mention that you're DNA Today's marketing director. So, and just all the work. So she really helped promote this Zoom. And so would not be happening without Laura. So thank you. Just wanted to kind of include that there. She is a great resource for stuff like that. I am seeing one more question in the chat. So I think we're going to end with that one unless there's a last minute one that comes in. But again, you can email in questions if we didn't talk about it. I'm going to be the first class of a brand new program at Keene. I know that SLC has been around for quite some time, but do you have any general advice about being in the inaugural class? Being in Sarah Lawrence, it's a very established program, but being friends with people in classes that just started, like at KGI, I think it's really good to connect with students in other programs. I think we've even done well with that. Of a couple of us are friends with someone from KGI, and sharing resources has been really helpful, of things that maybe she's learning at KGI that we didn't cover as in depth, vice versa. So being able to learn from each other and have friends in other programs, and you guys seem pretty connected just being in the Zoom call and everything, to do that. And knowing that you don't have a alumni network yet, that you'd be the first, not being afraid to reach out to genetic counselors that are vocal online. I've been able to connect with a lot through Twitter on GC chat. So if you just search like hashtag GC chat, you kind of see the same like 10 people-ish that talk on there. And a lot of them are very open to student contact. So if there's someone that is in a specific field that you want to talk to, or kind of looking to have that connection, go for it. Most genetic counselors are very open to that, and they are looking to connect with students and kind of pass on the torch. So definitely go for that. I don't know if you guys have any other comments to throw in there.
I'll jump in. We're lucky. We have an amazing program director who is super excited and is always asking for feedback from us. And I think that being the first class, you have a lot of power and opportunity to kind of give feedback and talk about, what worked and what didn't. But just being the first class, I would say even at Sarah Lawrence, we're still working on a lot of things. Things are constantly changing in our field. We're constantly making updates, constantly changing classes or adding lectures, things like that. So I would just say be kind and gentle to your new program directors, but don't be afraid to be open, because they chose you for a reason. They respect your opinion. So I think that if you can give kind of some constructive feedback, that would be really great for the people below you too.
Yeah, very important. We do that with our program, and it's celebrated 50 years last year. So there's always things to be changing. I mean, it's genetics. Nothing is going to stay the same. Sorry, I mispronounced that. Most of you are probably familiar with me mispronouncing things at this point. And if there's any other questions, I think we're going to wrap up because we're at an hour now. So we've probably talked your ears off. Thank you so much for everyone that has come. Thank you to my fellow hosts for sharing your insight and kind of passing it on to now new genetic counselors, because you guys are going to be genetic counselors now. And we appreciate you jumping in. And again, thank you, Laura, for helping us to coordinate all this and having the idea and everything like that. I mean, we've been able to kind of pull together, and this has been really fun. So I hope you guys, if you haven't, go check out the podcast, dnapodcast.com. We've had quite a few episodes that talk about stuff like this. Episode 87, 97, 101 are probably the most popular when it comes to these topics. You can literally just search DNA Today on your podcast app, or you can go to the website, dnapodcast.com. So thank you all so much. And congrats to everyone that matched. This is very exciting. I'm sorry you don't get to go out and celebrate in person, but hopefully this was something a little different for you to do tonight. So with that, I guess thanks, Caitlin. I guess we'll say goodnight.
Congratulations, everybody.
Congrats.
Woo.
Thank you.
Reach out to us, any of us, if you need anything.
Yeah, email info@dnapodcast.com.